Let me ask you a question. What if the difference between a foggy, drained mind and a sharp, focused brain was just one daily habit? Not a supplement, not a hack, but a ritual so powerful it rewires your energy, clarity, and performance from the inside out. If you're tired of feeling average, if you're done letting distraction dominate your day, then get ready, because today I'm handing you the blueprint to brain power. Let me tell you something most people never realize until it's too late. Your morning controls your mind. The first hour after you wake up is either your greatest weapon or your biggest weakness. And if you're starting your day reacting, checking your phone, scrolling, running late, rushing to catch up, you're not just wasting time, you're training your brain to be chaotic. You're telling your nervous system that life is out of control, and that sets the tone for every decision, every thought, and every action you take for the rest of the day. That's why the world's highest achievers, thinkers, performers, and leaders all have one thing in common. They claim the morning before the world steals it. Here's the truth most people ignore. Mental clarity is not found, it's created. And it's created in the quiet, early moments when everyone else is still asleep. That's the time where you can think without interruption, plan without pressure, and move your body and mind with purpose. See, in those early morning hours, before the sun rises and the noise of the day begins, your mind is in a highly programmable state. Your brain is shifting from theta to alpha brainwaves, the same frequency where deep creativity, problem solving, and vision building happens. This is your golden hour. But most people waste it hitting snooze, checking social media, or dragging themselves out of bed with no intention, no structure, and no power. That's not just a bad habit, it's a brain drain. If you want to build a life of focus, discipline, and high performance, it starts with what you do when the world is still silent. Now listen, I'm not talking about becoming some cold, robotic machine that gets up at 4 a.m. for the sake of hustle culture. That's not the point. I'm talking about waking up early enough to have a sacred block of time that's yours. Completely yours, no notifications, no emails, no distractions. Just you and your mind. This is the time where you build the mental edge. This is where you prime your thoughts before the world tells you who to be. It's where you breathe, stretch, move, hydrate, journal, visualize, reflect, not because it's trendy, but because it tunes your nervous system into certainty, confidence, and direction. Most people are addicted to reacting. The moment they open their eyes, they're already in a defensive posture, and what happens? They go through the entire day chasing things instead of leading it. They're pulled in a million directions, and by the time they try to focus, their brain is already scattered. But when you wake up with purpose, when you start the day on your terms, something powerful happens. Your mind begins to believe that you are in charge. You shift from being a slave to circumstance to being the architect of your state. Imagine what would happen if you just gave yourself 30-60 minutes each morning. No scrolling, no reacting, just intentional time to strengthen your focus, align your goals, and activate your energy. Over time, this becomes a habit, then a pattern, then a way of life. And once it becomes part of your identity, you become unstoppable. Let me break it down like this. Your brain is like a supercomputer, but it runs based on the software you install first thing in the morning. If you load it with distraction, stress, comparison, and chaos, guess what kind of day you're going to have? But if you load it with clarity, discipline, energy, and purpose, now your brain has marching orders. It's no longer scattered, it's sharp, it's dangerous, it's ready. The truth is, most people don't fail because they're lazy. They fail because they're disorganized. They wake up already behind, already tired, already unclear, and then they wonder why they can't stay focused, why they feel mentally drained, why they can't finish what they start. It all starts with how you open the day. Waking up early isn't just about time, it's about psychology. It builds internal trust. You told yourself you'd wake up and take control, and you did. That builds confidence. You told yourself you'd start your day in power, not panic, and you did. That builds momentum. And momentum, my friend, is everything. If you want your brain to operate at its highest level, you have to own the start of your day. Don't just wake up, rise with purpose. Don't just get up, activate your mind. Use the early hours to feed your mission, strengthen your focus, and prepare your inner world so that nothing in the outer world can shake you. Because once you win the morning, the day is already yours. Let's get one thing clear. You don't get to operate at your best by accident. The human brain doesn't just flip into greatness mode on its own. You don't just wake up and magically feel confident, focused, and ready to dominate. That's a fantasy. In reality, your mind needs direction, and if you don't give it one, the world will do it for you. And guess what? The world doesn't care about your purpose. It will fill your mind with noise, fear, distraction, and limitation unless you interrupt that pattern deliberately and consistently. That's what mental priming is all about. You see, priming isn't just some motivational trick. It's not about faking positivity or pretending everything's perfect. It's a scientific, psychological, and strategic way to command your brain to serve you. When you prime your mind, you're telling your nervous system, this is who I am, this is what I believe, this is how I will feel, this is what I will create today. And guess what happens when you do that with consistency? Your body listens, your emotions shift, your focus sharpens. You begin to rewire your emotional default settings. Most people wake up and let the residue of yesterday's stress take over. They carry old frustration, unresolved anxiety, doubts, and unconscious beliefs into a brand new day. It's like trying to run with chains around your ankles. You might move, but you'll never fly. But when you prime your mind first thing in the morning, and I mean really prime it, you cut those chains. Here's the truth no one tells you. Your brain is a survival machine by default. Left unchecked, it will focus on what's wrong, what could go wrong, and what didn't work. That's biology, but success, growth, courage, focus, these things are not default settings. They're intentional choices. They're cultivated through conscious repetition, and the way to start cultivating them is through a daily ritual of priming. For now, what does priming look like? It's not complicated, but it must be done with intensity and clarity. It starts with breath, getting oxygen into your body to awaken your system. Then it moves into intention, visualizing not just what you want, but how it feels to already have it. Priming is about emotional rehearsal. You don't just think about goals, you feel them, you experience them in advance, because the brain doesn't know the difference between something vividly imagined and something real, and if you can feel it consistently, you can move toward it faster. But here's the key, priming must become a non-negotiable, like brushing your teeth, like eating. You don't skip it. You don't say, I'll do it when I feel like it. That's weakness, and weakness never builds mastery. You prime your mind every day, even when you don't feel like it, especially when you don't feel like it, because that's when your mind needs it most. You might say, but I don't have time. Really, you don't have 10-15 minutes to upgrade your entire mental operating system. You're telling me you can scroll through your phone for 45 minutes, worry about things you can't control, or binge distractions, but you can't take a few moments to set your mind on fire. That's not a time issue. That's a commitment issue, and that stops today. Because when you prime daily, something incredible begins to happen. You start becoming the version of yourself you've only imagined. The one who doesn't get derailed by stress. The one who makes decisions with clarity. The one who walks into a room with certainty. The one who knows what they want and acts like it's already done. Mental priming is also about emotional conditioning. You teach your nervous system how to return to states of confidence, calm, gratitude, and energy no matter what life throws at you. That's power. That's leadership. That's where resilience is born. And here's something even deeper. When you prime, you start to create emotional immunity. Think about that. Just like your body builds immunity against viruses, your mind builds immunity against negativity, self-doubt, and fear. It doesn't mean you'll never feel down. It means you'll bounce back faster, you'll recover quicker, you'll stay grounded even in chaos. This is why elite performers across every industry have rituals. Whether it's athletes, CEO, artists, soldiers, they all prime their minds because they know that what happens internally creates what happens externally. Confidence is built, focus is built, and priming is the daily workout for your mind. So, don't wait for the world to shape your thoughts. Shape them yourself. Create the emotions you want to live in. Command your physiology. Speak your vision. Visualize your goals. Flood your system with breath, with gratitude, with certainty, and then step into your day with fire. Because once your mind is aligned, nothing can stop you. Let's destroy a myth right now. Movement isn't just for athletes. It's not just for the gym, not just for losing weight or chasing some Instagram version of fitness. Movement is fuel for the brain. It is a biological trigger, a psychological switch, and a spiritual reset all in one. When you move your body, you don't just sculpt muscle or burn calories, you activate the mind. And if you're serious about mental clarity, emotional control, and peak performance, then movement is non-negotiable. You see, the brain and body are not separate machines. They are one dynamic system. You move your body, you shift your state, you get your blood pumping, you get oxygen to the brain, you stretch, jump, run, walk, dance, and suddenly, you're no longer trapped in thought. You're back in your body. Back in the moment, back in your power. Most people are stuck in their heads, overthinking, overanalyzing, overwhelmed. And the reason they can't break out of it, because their physiology hasn't changed. They sit still, slouched with shallow breath, stuck in the same posture for hours, and then they wonder why they feel foggy, depressed, uninspired. That's not a lack of motivation, that's a lack of motion. Because motion creates emotion, you want to feel different, you've got to move different. This is not just motivational talk. This is science. When you move, your body releases endorphins, those powerful chemicals that reduce stress and elevate mood. Your brain produces BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which is like miracle. Grow for your neurons. It strengthens memory, sharpens focus, and enhances learning. Dopamine, serotonin, and norepinephrine, your feel. Good neurotransmitters, they all get activated when you engage in purposeful movement. And guess what? You don't need to run marathons to access this. You don't need 2 hours in the gym. Sometimes, just 5 minutes of intense movement in the morning can snap you out of mental paralysis and ignite your system. Here's what most people don't get. Your mind obeys your body. If you're standing tall, breathing deep, and moving with intensity, your brain gets the message. We are alive, we are ready, we are strong. But if you're hunched still, tight, disconnected, your mind gets a very different message. We are stuck, we are afraid, we are small. And the world doesn't reward small energy. It rewards certainty, movement, boldness, and that starts with how you carry yourself. You want to solve a problem. Don't just think harder, move first. You want to make a decision. Don't just sit there overthinking, get your heart rate up. You want to boost creativity. Go on a walk. Change your environment. Shake up your state. Some of the greatest breakthroughs in history didn't happen at desks. They happened on foot. They happened in motion. Because movement unleashes the part of your brain that's creative, adaptive, and fearless. Even when it comes to emotion, anxiety, stress, sadness, movement helps you transmute it. You don't think your way out of a panic attack. You move through it. You breathe, you shift, you expand. That's how you reclaim your mind through the body. And don't think this only applies to the morning. Throughout your day, your energy will dip, your focus will wander, your confidence might fade, and you'll feel it, that sluggish mental fog creeping in. When that happens, your first instinct shouldn't be coffee. It should be movement, a set of push-ups, a stretch, a walk in fresh air, jumping in place, dancing like a maniac to your favorite song. Anything that gets blood moving and breath flowing, because when the body moves, the mind follows. And here's the deeper layer. Movement is ritual. It's not just physical. It's emotional. It's psychological. The way you move teaches your mind how to feel. When you train your body to move with strength and intensity every single day, you're also training your brain to operate with intensity and strength. That's not fitness, that's identity. The truth is, most people don't have energy problem. They have motion problems. You sit for hours, you don't breathe deeply. You don't engage your body, and then you blame your brain for being tired. But the brain isn't tired. It's starving for movement. Look, I'm not saying you need to become a bodybuilder or an athlete. I'm saying you need to reclaim your relationship with your body not for how it looks, but for what it does to your mind. Even if you start with 2-5 minutes of explosive movement every morning, jumping jacks, power breathing, air squats, high knees, shadow boxing that alone can jolt your system awake. It breaks the pattern of slowness and signals the brain that it's time to perform. Because when your body is in motion, your mind has no choice but to rise. So, if you want to unlock your best ideas, if you want to feel energized, focused, and mentally sharp, if you want to become the kind of person who doesn't just react, but leads, then make movement your medicine, not just sometimes, every single day. Let me tell you something that will sound uncomfortable, and that's exactly why it works. Cold is the gateway to control. Most people spend their entire lives avoiding discomfort. They chase warmth, convenience, and comfort like it's a religion. But here's the truth. Growth lives in the cold. Transformation begins when you stop negotiating with comfort and start commanding your nervous system. And there is no faster way to do that than through cold exposure. Now, I'm not talking about freezing yourself for torture or taking a 5-hour ice bath. I'm talking about a simple, focused ritual. Cold showers, ice dips, or cold water face immersion, anything that shocks the system, disrupts the comfort cycle, and triggers a primal reset in your body and mind. Let's break down the science first, because this isn't a gimmick, this is biology. When you expose your body to cold, your brain immediately releases norepinephrine, a powerful neurotransmitter that enhances attention, vigilance, and focus. Cold exposure also boosts dopamine, the feel good chemical responsible for drive, motivation, and mental clarity. In fact, studies have shown that a cold shower can increase dopamine by 250%, and the effects can last for hours. Let that sink in. One moment of cold can shift your entire mental state. That's not magic, that's physiology. Cold exposure also trains something most people have never truly developed: resilience. Because when you choose to step into cold water first thing in the morning, you're not just waking up your body, you're telling your brain, we do hard things, we go toward resistance, we are in control, not fear, not hesitation, not avoidance. This matters. Because every time you voluntarily enter discomfort, you're building discipline armor. You're reprogramming your mind to stay calm under pressure. You're conditioning your body to override panic and shift into strength. That doesn't just help in the shower, that helps in meetings, in crisis, in relationships, in leadership. Because how you do one thing is how you do everything. And when you dominate the cold, you can dominate anything. And it's not just mental. Cold water reduces inflammation, boosts immune function, improves metabolism, and even enhances sleep quality. Athletes use it to recover faster. High performers use it to reset the brain. Monks use it to strengthen spirit. Warriors use it to train fear out of the system. This is ancient wisdom backed by modern science, and it's available to you right now. Here's the part most people miss. It's not about the cold, it's about the choice. Every morning, your alarm goes off. You have a decision to stay cozy under the covers or to stand up and step into discomfort. One path weakens you, the other forges you. That's the power of cold exposure. It's a ritual of commitment. You don't do it because it feels good. You do it because it makes you good. Because it reminds you that you are the one in charge, not your emotions, not your feelings, not the temperature. And the craziest part, it takes less than 5 minutes. 1 minute under freezing water can snap you out of the fog, break stress, wake up your nervous system, and lock you into a warrior state. I'll be honest, the first few times, your mind will scream, "Get out!" Your body will flinch, your breath will shorten, and that's exactly the point, because you're not doing it for comfort. You're doing it to train your system to remain calm in chaos. That's leadership, that's mental strength. That's the kind of wiring that separates the elite from the average. You might say, "But I hate the cold." Exactly, that's why it works. If it were easy, everyone would do it. But success never came from ease. It comes from doing the thing you resist. And when you do that first thing in the morning, before anything else, you carry that momentum with you all day. Cold exposure is a mirror. It shows you exactly where your edge is. And if you lean into that edge daily, it doesn't just build courage, it builds certainty. You start to see yourself differently. You become the person who doesn't wait to be ready. You don't hesitate. You don't shrink. You act, you command. You lead. That's who you are now. And let me tell you something. The person who walks into their day after beating the cold walks in with fire. With alertness, with clarity, with a mindset that says, "I already did something hard. I already won. Nothing that comes at me today can shake me." So stop waiting for confidence to show up. Build it. Stop hoping for energy to magically appear. Trigger it. Use the cold, not just to wake your body, but to awaken your power. Because when you choose discomfort, when you choose the cold, you're choosing to become unshakable. Gratitude isn't a soft skill. It's not a nice to have. It's not some cheesy affirmation or social media quote wrapped in pretty fonts. Gratitude is a discipline. It is a neurological weapon. And if you're not using it, you are leaving mental performance, energy, and emotional power on the table every single day. Let's be clear, your brain was not designed for happiness. It was designed for survival. That means it's constantly scanning for what's wrong, for threats, for danger, for the one thing that could go sideways. That's evolutionary programming. It helped our ancestors stay alive. But today, in a world flooded with noise and comparison and stress, that same wiring keeps people stuck. Stuck in anxiety, stuck in overthinking, stuck in self-doubt. But here's the breakthrough. You can rewire it. You can train your brain to shift from fear to focus, from stress to strength, from scarcity to possibility. And the switch that does that, the one daily habit that flips the system, it's gratitude. Not the surface level kind where you say, "Yeah, I'm thankful for my house, my family, my health." Like you're checking a box. I'm talking about deep, embodied gratitude, the kind you feel in your chest. The kind that makes you breathe differently. The kind that gets you emotional when you think about what you've been given or what you've survived. Because here's the science. When you practice gratitude, especially first thing in the morning, your brain floods with dopamine and serotonin, in two of the most powerful chemicals linked to happiness, focus, and resilience. Gratitude activates the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for decision making, willpower, and clarity. You're literally resetting your neural pathways to focus on what's right instead of what's wrong. And it's not just emotional, it's tactical. A grateful brain is more productive, more creative, more solution-oriented. Why? Because when you're stuck in fear or stress, your brain narrows. You go into tunnel vision. You miss options, but when you're in a state of gratitude, your brain opens. You see possibilities, you expand, you lead. So when you start your day with a powerful gratitude ritual, not just thinking about it, but feeling it, you begin to hardwire a new pattern. You teach your brain, this is what matters. This is what we focus on. This is where our power comes from. Do you realize how much of your energy is lost every day just by focusing on what's missing? On what you don't have, what didn't go right, who hurt you, what didn't happen fast enough? That's a mental drain, a thief stealing your potential. Gratitude cuts that off at the source. It shifts your story from "I'm not there yet" to "Look how far I've come." From "I have to do this" to "I get to do this." From "I'm stuck" to "I'm growing." That's not fake optimism. That's a trained perspective, and it's the only perspective that actually builds momentum. Let me challenge you right now. Every single morning, before you check your phone, before you speak to anyone, before you dive into your schedule, close your eyes, put your hand on your heart, and feel 3 specific things you're grateful for. Not just think them, feel them, remember a moment, see the faces, hear the sounds, relive the emotion. Take 2-3 minutes and flood your system with that energy, and then do this, stack it with intention. While your nervous system is in that elevated state of gratitude, visualize your day. Picture yourself moving with strength, speaking with clarity, creating with focus, handling challenges with certainty. Your brain is now primed to perform not from fear, but from fullness. You do this daily, you will change the chemistry of your life, because gratitude isn't weakness, it's command. It says, no matter what the world throws at me, I'm not starting from lack. I'm starting from abundance, from enoughness, from power. That kind of person is unshakable, and here's the thing most people miss. If you're not practicing gratitude, you're practicing resentment. There's no neutral state. Your brain is rehearsing something all the time: worry, regret, fear, anger, or gratitude. You choose the script. People say, I'll be grateful when I succeed. No, you succeed because you're grateful. Gratitude gives you access to the minds. You need to act with courage before the evidence shows up. It becomes your emotional home. And once that happens, your energy shifts. People feel it. Doors open. Creativity flows. The grind feels lighter. Life doesn't get easier, you get stronger. So build it into your system. Make it part of your identity. Make it automatic. Just like brushing your teeth, gratitude should be non-negotiable. Why? Because every time you do it, you're training your brain to stop chasing and start creating. And in a world full of people running on fear, scarcity, and distraction, the person who walks in with gratitude owns the room. Let's cut through the noise. Your brain is your greatest asset. It's not your phone, not your bank account, not your schedule. It's the command center that determines how you think, how you decide, how you lead, how you perform, and ultimately how you live. And if you're not feeding it what it needs, don't be surprised when it doesn't work at the level you demand. Because let me tell you something no one teaches in school. Your brain is not just a thinking machine, it's a living organism. A high-performance engine, and just like any high-powered machine, it needs fuel, real fuel, strategic fuel, not junk, not filler, not stimulants that create temporary highs and long-term crashes. Your brain is not craving sugar. It's not craving caffeine overload. It's not craving processed garbage. What it really craves is hydration, oxygen, clean nutrients, and rhythm. And when you learn to fuel it right, every part of your life improves. Let's start with the basics: water. Your brain is about 75% water, and just a 2% drop in hydration can cause foggy thinking, mood swings, memory issues, and fatigue. That's not dehydration, that's sabotage. You want to think faster, react sharper, stay focused longer, hydrate early and hydrate often, before coffee, before food. Wake up and give your brain what it's screaming for: clean, cold water. Second, oxygen. Your brain is the most oxygen-demanding organ in your body, and yet most people spend their day breathing shallow, tight, anxious breaths. You know what that creates? A stressed-out brain, a confused nervous system, poor decision-making. But when you intentionally take deep, diaphragmatic breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth, you flood your system with oxygen, reset your focus, and return to control. One of the simplest habits you can build. 2-3 minutes of power breathing every morning. It's free, it's fast, and it transforms your brain state instantly. Now let's talk about nutrition, the real kind. Your brain doesn't want sugar spikes. It doesn't want to be tricked into fake energy. What it craves are nutrients that stabilize blood sugar, feed neurotransmitter production, and reduce inflammation. You want to optimize focus and creativity. Fuel your brain with healthy fats like avocados, nuts, olive oil, omega-3s. These fats literally build your brain's structure and boost memory, attention span, and processing speed. You want to think clearer and prevent burnout. Load up on leafy greens, berries, cruciferous vegetables. These are high in antioxidants and polyphenols. They protect your brain cells from stress and slow cognitive aging. That's not wellness fluff, that's neuroscience. You want more consistent energy. Stabilize your blood sugar with protein. Rich meals, clean carbs like sweet potatoes, quinoa, and oats. And avoid the roller coaster of sugary snacks or energy drinks that crash you halfway through the day. Here's the truth. Most people are running $1 million missions with $10 nutrition. They're trying to lead, create, perform, and build a better life while feeding their brain chemicals that create fog, inflammation, and fatigue. It's not going to work because your thoughts are biological. Your focus is chemical. Your creativity is directly influenced by the fuel you provide your system. So if you want consistent clarity, energy, and confidence, it starts on your plate. But feeding your brain isn't just about food. It's also about what you feed your mind. Think about it. Your brain is always digesting something. Every video you watch, every voice you listen to, every message you consume, its input. It's shaping your emotions, decisions, and identity. Are you feeding it garbage, gossip, doom scrolling, or are you feeding it vision, strategy, inspiration, challenge? Your brain adapts to its diet, both physical and mental. If you constantly consume low-quality content, you train your brain to operate at low frequencies: fear, anger, distraction. But if you feed it high-level content, books, lectures, challenges, empowering conversations, you train it to rise. You want to think like a leader, you need to feed your mind like one. You want to solve bigger problems, you need to upgrade the ideas you consume. You want to create breakthroughs, you've got to consume information that expands your thinking, not just validates your current habits. And here's the most overlooked part: rhythm. Your brain craves structure. You don't need to be perfect, but it thrives when you wake, move, eat, rest, and focus at consistent times. Your circadian rhythm isn't just about sleep, it regulates your cognitive strength throughout the day. So if you're sleeping at random hours, skipping meals, overstimulating at night, and calling it the grind, don't be surprised when your brain crashes by noon. Greatness is not fueled by chaos, it's fueled by rhythm. So let's get practical. Start tomorrow like this. Wake up and drink a large glass of water before anything else. Do 2-3 minutes of deep breathing. Eat a clean breakfast with healthy fats and protein, no sugar bombs. Read or listen to something empowering for 5-10 minutes. Schedule your meals and work sessions with rhythm, not randomness. Protect your mental input the same way you protect your diet. And if you fall off track, don't judge, adjust. You are not a robot. You're a high-performance machine, and you deserve high-performance fuel. Because when you feed the brain what it actually craves, clarity becomes normal. Focus becomes your default, and you become the kind of person who doesn't just survive the day. You lead it. Let's end the guessing game. If you want to transform your life, your focus, your discipline, your confidence, you need to understand one fundamental truth. Repetition is the mother of mastery. It's not talent. It's not luck. It's not feeling ready. The people you admire, the performers you study, the minds that lead, they didn't get there by doing something once. They got there by doing it again and again and again, because repetition doesn't just build skill, it builds identity. And once you've locked in the identity, the habits follow automatically. You want to rewire your brain. You want to stop overthinking, break fear, escape distraction, and replace self-doubt with certainty. Then hear me now, you must do the work daily, not when it's convenient, not when you're in the mood, every single day, because repetition is what tells your brain this matters. Every time you take intentional action, you fire neural pathways, and every time you fire them again, they get stronger. Eventually, those pathways become the brain's default, setting your autopilot. That's not theory, that's neuroplasticity. It's how your brain is wired to evolve. Think about it like this. When you first learn something, gratitude, cold exposure, mental priming, morning rituals, it feels awkward, clunky, unnatural. Your old wiring fights back. That's normal. Your brain is trying to conserve energy by holding on to what's familiar, even if what's familiar is keeping you small. But here's the key. The brain does not care what's good for you. It cares what's familiar. That's why you can keep running toxic patterns for years and still feel safe, because they're known. The only way to break that is through conscious, repeated interruption of the old pattern and the consistent installation of the new one. You want clarity instead of chaos. Prime your mind every day. You want energy instead of exhaustion. Move your body every day. You want courage instead of hesitation. Face discomfort every day, not just once. Until it becomes who you are. Repetition isn't just about practice. It's about conditioning. You're not just doing the reps, you're training your nervous system to respond differently to life. You're creating emotional memory, physiological readiness, and mental resilience. Most people quit before the wiring is complete. They try something for a week, don't see immediate results, and give up. That's not failure. That's immaturity of discipline, and it's a trap. Because the greatest rewards in life don't come from what you do once, they come from what you do relentlessly. Let me give it to you straight. Repetition creates rhythm. Rhythm creates certainty. Certainty creates identity. And identity drives every action you take. You want to stop procrastinating. Repetition. You want to build self-belief. Repetition. You want to stop escaping through distraction and finally lead with intention. Repetition, the stronger the pattern, the less willpower you need, because it's no longer effort. It's automatic. That's the magic of neuroplasticity. Your brain is a pattern recording machine. It doesn't care if you've been anxious for 10 years. It can still be rewired. It doesn't care if you've been undisciplined your entire life. You can still build a new identity, but it won't happen with inspiration alone. It happens when action meets consistency. And here's what most people don't realize. Every time you repeat a behavior, you are casting a vote for the person you want to become. One vote might not seem like much, but 100 votes, 1,000 votes, that creates momentum. That builds gravity. Soon, you're no longer forcing change, you're living it. You want to know why most New Year's resolutions fail? Because they're based on motivation, not repetition. Motivation fades. But systems, routines, rituals win the war. That's why I don't ask people, what do you want? I ask them, what are you willing to repeat until it becomes effortless? Because that's what determines your future. And this isn't just about good habits. Repetition works for anything positive or negative. If you repeatedly check your phone when you're bored, you're wiring your brain to escape discomfort. If you repeatedly quit when things get hard, you're training your brain to associate challenge with failure. But if you show up every day, even when it's hard, even when you don't feel like it, even when no one is watching you build mental armor, that's what separates the committed from the casual, the elite from the average, the fulfilled from the frustrated. So here's your challenge. Take the habits we've talked about: early morning ownership, mental priming, movement, cold exposure, gratitude, clean fuel, and repeat them until they become your default settings. Don't dabble, don't try. Decide, lock it in. Let it become part of your system so deeply that skipping it feels unnatural. Because once your habits match your vision, once your daily actions match your identity, Once your patterns match your purpose, you don't have to force results. You become the kind of person who attracts them. That's the power of repetition. That's how you rewire your brain. That's how you become unstoppable.